the same, nigga. I think I done changed, nigga. See something not the same, nigga. I used to walk into the room, head down, I don't walk, now I float
Welcome to the very second episode of the Saturday Morning Housewives Revival, brought to you by Refurbished Indignation. My name is Stephanie Moody. I am your head refurbisher, and I'm going to be not only working on this beautiful soon-to-be coffee table today, but also talking about our favorite guys and gals and days on our favorite Bravo shows. Last week, unfortunately, was an absolute disaster, and I completely forgot that my empty and under construction apartment has no Wi-Fi. So moving forward, we are going to be pre-recording all of these. Hopefully next week, you'll finally get to see my little face. And until I move back in with my husband into our almost there apartment, I'm looking at a somewhat painted place with an empty kitchen and a lot of sawdust on the floor, but it looks closer to our apartment than anything has in the past, 7 months. Just to give you the inside scoop about what we do here, like I said, I refurbish furniture, and I like to talk mad shit about people who want to be talked about, to be perfectly honest. So in getting started, let's go over our project. So last week, like you guys did not see, we took what was already painted and primed in white and painted it this beautiful bright red, which looks very similar to what it was originally stamped onto what this used to be, which was some sort of board game. And then I touched it up, finished up painting the little fleur-de-lis this week, and now we're going to go through with our little toothpick cotton ball things and just do some cleaning up, because as you can see, well, you guys can't see. Let me scoot this table back. Hold on. There we go, that's a little bit better. As you guys can see, maybe right here, if you were to pinch and zoom, there's some spaces where red has gone over, or we can just clean up the line work a little bit better, all that good stuff. So I have my mixture of paint thinner and painter's solvent in here, and we're ready to go. And also I should probably pull up my notes so I can remember exactly what I should be talking about. Okay, so we're going to get started, and I go in order of airing on Peacock on this show. So we're getting started with Atlanta, and Atlanta this week was absolutely bonkers. I don't know what I was expecting out of this particular reboot, especially since the Black franchises really aren't given as much care or concern as they should be. But holy moly, Atlanta was right for the taking. There's house. So we start with Portia and Lauren popping over to Phaedra's house. And Phaedra does this little walk to her pantry where she pinches her little fingers like this and goes, and it just, we find out why Phaedra was so pinchy and walky and cute this episode a little bit later. And then we find out that Lauren was actually on the phone with her and Portia's cousin when she passed, Blondie, and that is just really hard and really freaking sad, and I feel really bad for Lauren and Phaedra. I can't imagine going through, losing such a close person, and the person that really, it seems, keeps their family together and their grandfather's legacy alive. That's rough. That's really rough. We then see a professional, and Phaedra's in that bird outfit again, the one with the gigantic Death Becomes Her shoulders and just a lot of plumage coming off of that dress. I do not like it. I don't care for it. Lauren tells us that she's been seeing butterflies everywhere, and it just, that's Londi coming and saying hello. And then Portia first asks if the champagne that they're drinking is mango juice, which, okay. And then she asks, Phaedra lets them know if they could do like a butterfly release at Londi's funeral, which I think would be really lovely. And then Portia asks if the butterflies go back to their owner, which, Portia's so fucking dumb. I can't. I don't know if it's an act. Sometimes it feels like it is, but yeah, I don't know. It was a weird way to exit the scene. Let's just say that. From there, we go to Angela seeing Wendy alone. And I wasn't sure if Wendy, she says Wendy has been the third person in our marriage. But Angela's there by herself. So I was like, is Wendy for individual counseling? Is Wendy for couples counseling? If it's couples counseling, why are we seeing Wendy alone to talk shit about Charles Oakley? I don't know. So then Angela tells us that she's had to deal with a lot of jealousy and like chats with Wendy in her relationship. So that was to me like, oh, Charles is absolutely cheating on Angela. Okay. Angela tells us that she has some $2 million of Charles's dollars, hard earned, that she was just gonna lose the homes because she can't take it anymore. It's too much work. Which I was like, are you out of your goddamn fucking mind? I don't care if we're sitting on these homes for 10 years. You're gonna flip them and you're gonna sell them for profit. What? Are you kidding me? This entire episode like truly cemented Angela for me. All I could say was like, wow, she is, I thought she was crazy and weird. She is beyond the freaking pale. I am having a hard time getting some of this read up. We may have let this sit for a little too long. And if that is the case, then we'll just switch to starting to prime the black. Okay, so I am back. We have primer, which looks jacked. We have brushes. We still have our little thing of painter's solvent and what have you, so I can wash my brushes, and we're gonna get back into Angela and Wendy chit chat. So Angela's willing to lose the house, which I would be over her at this point too if I was Charles. Are you fucking kidding me? That is absolutely freaking bananas. I can't even believe she said that out loud. It's kind of disgusting, especially because it's so much money. $2 million is like not something to blink at, Angela. Come on. And then Wendy tells her that losing the $2 million worth of assets in the homes that she decided she wanted to flip will just be a lovely learning lesson for her, which I was like, Dr. Wendy sounds like a dumbass. Finally, her Dr. Wendy and Angela share a little giggle over Charles being untrustworthy, which means like he definitely is cheating on her. Sorry, there's a bunch of flies in here with me, just living and hanging out, loving it. Angela tells her about like the wild man from last weekend and like what went down at Kelly's little waffle thing, and thus starts the mystery of who sent that man to antagonize Angela. Then we go to Shemea's showcase. And the first thing I thought is, how much did Gerald spend on this showcase? Because Shemea has like true production. Like someone said, it looks like she went on tour for this thing. gigantic production, lots of like costume changes. My follow-up question to that was, how long were these people made to sit and watch Shemea sing and dance? Because for her to change a costume, what seemed to be every single song, and then Drew comes in, and it just was like a lot of money to spend for like 12 people to sit in the audience and watch. Like, Drew, I can't stand Drew. I can't stand her little, I am the resident singer, so I'm coming to watch, and Shemea, it really screams jealousy to me. That will get filled eventually, keep it, Drew, please. Britt and Kelly show up, and they say literally nothing to each other, which I guess fine. And then Angela tells everyone that they are invited to come to the Charles Oakley Gala. And she says gala twice, and she goes, gala. And I was like, I don't know what we're doing here. Are you saying that because our friend from last week is a gay man and he will be attending as we see? I don't know. And then Britt says something about Kelly having fake followers. And then we see a stack, which listen, you're gonna see that I don't delve into a lot of stuff sometimes because it's just too bizarre that I don't care to. I just want to mention that it happened and then we can move on. We then see Shia holding a stack of what I assume were Shemea Bucks. I don't know who else would be on those, on that money she was holding, okay. How much were the Shemea Bucks? Why did Shemea get money of herself made? Didn't we learn from Usher going to, what's it called? Oh my gosh, I tried to get in Atlanta one time. You know, the strip club, the big one. Cheetahs, whatever it's called. Anyway, didn't we learn from Usher giving out his own fake money to strippers in Atlanta that is not a thing that you do? So Shemea tells us that she has sent flowers and has called, but she doesn't mention showing up to Portia's. And I don't know, something is already doing there. I really hate seeing it because I think Portia and Shemea's friendship has been the bedrock of this franchise. One of the bedrocks, I should say, for a long time. And I don't know, I don't like seeing the cracks and the changes. Shemea and Britt discuss the convo that Cynthia, Britt, and Portia had regarding Shemea, and Shemea showing Britt and Kelly text messages. And Britt goes, Shemea does go 0 to 100 very, very quickly with this. She immediately is like, you're a crackhead or you're a pillhead or something. And I was like, okay, Shemea, we're getting a little hypey for no reason. Like, I think she absolutely did show those text messages when she was drunk and feeling a lot of frustration. But as we know, she and Portia have already worked it out. Like, we don't need to be bringing it up again, Britt. And then Shemea makes a very valid point, which is it seems like Britt is really upset that Shemea and Kelly have connected, and she and Kelly are supposed to be biffles and get each other through this process of being an Atlanta housewife. Britt then says something about Shemea's daughter and how Shemea actually wasn't upset about it. Her being by herself or something. I don't really know because I don't pay attention to the kids' storylines. And Shemea got mad. So that was it with Shemea and Britt and Shemea Showcase. I'm not doing a very good job tonight. It's very hot in this apartment, and it's hard for me to concentrate right now. But we're gonna edit this into some movie magic, you guys. Alright, so we then see a carousel of the cast. wake up the twinsies. And as I just mentioned, I don't really pay attention to the kid stuff because I don't have children myself. I don't want them. And to me, I find those storylines to be quite boring, personally. But this, and take what I have to say with a grain of salt because I am not a parent, it feels like Kelly and the twinsies are A, little too enmeshed, the three, but B, the two twins are not allowed to be their own individual person. They sleep in the same bed, she sings the little twinsy song, and then they're both in the same exact hair and pajamas to go make French toast. Now I know they were both given like different jobs to do, so it doesn't seem like she lumps them in together all the time, but we did see a lot of like twin shenanigans from her this season. And again, take what I have to say because I'm not a parent, like minimally, but it's weird and I don't like it. And I feel like those twins are gonna have a lot of therapy that they're gonna have to go through once they're older to disconnect and become, separate entities as they are, not just one person in two different bodies that Kelly seems to think they are. It's just, I don't know. I did not like Wake Up Twinsies whatsoever. Ralph then texts Drew to ask permission to come upstairs, which is hysterical, but I really didn't like Drew telling her whatever type of stylist he was, and cackling about how funny it is that Ralph has to do that. Come on, Drew, have a little bit of couth. A little bit. I know that's asking a lot from you, but just a wee bit will get us through the day. We then see Britt and her husband pretend to buy a private jet, which made me feel a little sick, personally, because A, they have no money. I don't know why this was in there to begin with, but B, don't we know that we're not supposed to be buying private jets anymore? I thought that it's 2025, private jet season. The PJ season is over. No one likes it. It's not cool anymore. And I will absolutely have a different opinion when we see Stephanie's private jet later, just so you guys know. You see that Kelly's sister comes over, and Kelly talks about the new restaurant that she supposedly, allegedly I should say, hasn't paid rent on and will not be opening. So that was interesting. And then Chloe asked to manage the restaurant, which to that I just say, come on, Nepo baby, get your coin the way that you can. Seriously, if your mother has a waffle empire, truly go and manage that thing right into the ground. Then we see Ralph and Drew have a little chit chat. And Drew comes into their living room and Ralph is playing the piano, and that is the epitome of why I hate both these people. Why are we doing shenanigans for this dumb talk that neither of you are going to abide by, whatsoever? And then Ralph asks her, how did we get here? And lest I remind us, we got here because you took your wife to a rooftop and told her that you hated her, and then she told you that your crazy-looking therapist called you a homicidal maniac. That's how we got here. So, And then I noticed that Drew seems to really this is something that has been a thing with Drew and I since the beginning, and I say this as a woman who has long abided by the hard hair, soft lifestyle, in that I don't wear wigs, I don't do any sort of sew-in or extension type thing. I wear my hair how it just wants to be that day, and quite often it looks bad, but I have a really great life. And Drew seems to just want people to see her lace. We see it in the confession, and then we see it in this scene, and I'm like, you were just with that man, and you couldn't tap that, you're glue that shit down, and then cover it up correctly? see the scene that inspired us choosing this, the opening song that we did for this week, which was finding out that Phaedra's getting her back broken by a man named Chi-Chi. Because God knows he is floating. Or she is floating. I'm sure he's floating too. She is absolutely floating, levitating off of Chi-Chi every morning. Phaedra looks great. Chi-Chi is really, really hot. And all I have to say to that is snaps for Phaedra. Almost halfway through the episode without me realizing that Britt has a really awful vocal fry. And I know I'm also a vocal fry girly, but Britt's is really not great. Britt's family comes over, the sisters, the mother is living with her. That man, her husband, seems quite awful. So I wonder how that's going for that mother. I really loved the younger sister who's stuck in her grief, her braids. I thought they looked great. I'm also still trying to figure out what the issue is. Is it that that they didn't grieve the dad long enough, that Britt kicked them out of the insurance? Like, I'm not really understanding what the issue is between the sisters, but I am happy to see that a bridge is starting to be built between them. Then Britt pretends like she's pregnant and then announces their wedding, and then the mom or the sister, I couldn't tell them apart, or it was her mother-in-law, calls Britt a heifer, which I quite enjoyed. We then get to the piece de resistance, the Oakley Foundation Gala. At the top, the thing that really sold Angela to me, and this is something that we'll also talk about again with Miami, is that she was willing to take an event, a prestigious event that she and her husband throw yearly for almost a decade, and absolutely demolish it in front of real life people for this show. And that to me is like chef's kiss of a housewife, like truly incredible. I've never seen anything like it before, like holy moly. The music was very Bridgerton-esque, which I liked too. It was like very, Angela is the queen and all of these ladies in waiting are coming around trying to like, you know, solve who is the mysterious person that sent Marcus, I believe is his name, Marcus, to us last week. We see Angela, let me back it on up. First we see Shemea walk in, and I don't like what Shemea's wearing. She's very hit or miss for me, fashion-wise. This was a miss, a big myth one. What was $50,000, and they made $100,000, which is really awesome. Like, awesome, good for you, Angela. That is an accomplishment. And then Angela has, and this is the real definition of clandestine Marisol. Angela has a clandestine call with Drew in her hotel room. And we see a flashback to Angela, who clearly was trying to get this entire storyline on the show, meeting with our friend from last week, another man, and he shows her a text message of who sent him the information about Charles. So now we have like a mystery afoot, and we are going to solve it. And so the rest of the ladies come and they honor Portia and Londi, as well as the woman whose name I did not write down, who was the head of Meals for Wheels Atlanta, like truly doing awesome and incredible and much needed work right now. The ladies share like a really touching moment with Portia where she starts crying after accepting the award on behalf of her and Londi, and they all like rally around her. It just was pretty awesome to see. And then shit hits the fan. They're all sitting together. When Angela walks over, they applaud her, which was really nice. Then Angela lays out who our suspects are for who sent Marcus into Kelly's party last week, like it's motherfucking Clue. And first we see it's Kelly, the evidence being that it was her event, and Kelly took a shot with this man when he announced that Charles had been cheating on Angela. Then we say it's Britt. Britt had a vendetta against not only Kelly, but also Angela, and she could have sent the man in to ruin not only the event, but also Angela's life. And then, up to this point, I was like, okay, this is like normal housewives at a real life event behavior. But then Angela brought that fucking man there, and I was like, are you fucking nuts? What? And so she tells Drew to go get him. Drew comes back with Marcus, and he looks absolutely just so uncomfortable and does not want to be there. I felt really bad for him being like roped in further than he already had been. And Charles Oakley, of course, comes over and starts yelling and says that he has to go. And then Angela is screaming at the top of her lungs, "Trust me! Trust me!" And I just, Angela, you will not be outrunning those "my marriage is in trouble" rumors anytime soon, my love. Truly not. So Charles then decides that he's going to leave. He can't take this mess anymore. And then Marcus plops on down in a chair, turns to Phaedra and goes, "J'accuse!" and tells everyone that Phaedra is the one who has given him this information, because Phaedra is really the godfather of Atlanta. And Drew makes the stankiest face, and I kind of was obsessed with it as he's speaking. And part of me knows that Phaedra is the godfather of Atlanta. She clearly has her little hands on a lot of pots. And I'm sure it makes a lot of stuff run in Atlanta, or at least go the way she wants it to go in Atlanta. But I agree with what Phaedra eventually says to us, is that, if she steps one little toe out of line, she's gone. She's off Bravo forever. It took her almost a decade to come back from the Candy Burris, Todd drugging Portia allegations, and I don't think she would risk her job and her livelihood like that again. I really don't. So we get into more suspects. First we have a flashback to the OLG, because Portia said that it's a Todd scheme, and just seeing those ladies be like, "This was a scheme that Todd made," it just was really good. So funny. And then Marcus told us that it was a man named Junebug who came out to give him everything, and that he must be Phaedra's cousin, which I agree with Cynthia. Every black person with ties to the South has a cousin Junebug. I do as well. Angela says that Phaedra is jealous because Angela is married, which I don't think that is true. Let's look at the facts here. Phaedra is bouncing herself on top of Che Che, is not married, her children are finally teenagers, and she can kind of fuck around and find out in any which way she pleases. So, Angela, love you, but I don't think Phaedra is actually jealous. Angela's smoking gun is that Phaedra knew Marcus, but Phaedra, as we heard Marcus introduce himself before he asked Angela to go and speak with him. So that's how she knew Marcus. I'm sure she probably talked to him too to get the tea. Phaedra tells us all that Angela's in foreclosure, and her vote is for Kelly, because Kelly hosts the fair. Shemea votes for Britt. Kelly also votes for Britt. And then
Portia says it was probably Angela herself, and that is what I agree with. It was most likely Angela herself. I don't know if she was embarrassed. I don't know if she was trying to out Charles as cheating without having to come forward and say it herself, but something with the whole Wendy of it all earlier, and then, I don't know. To me, the finger is pointed towards Angela. We get updates, and I honestly don't care, so I'm not going to go through them. Britt has an incredibly dramatic exit after getting back into it with Shemea, and I'm excited to see that kind of play out in the reunion. Oh no, it doesn't, because Britt doesn't go. I forgot. And then Portia moves back into her house, and I don't really care. But that was Atlanta. Like, truly excellent finale. I don't think I've seen a finale like that in a hell of a long time. And we're gonna bounce right on into the valley. So I was hoping that we were gonna get some sort of dinner party from hell real time, or I guess time and a half episode. At the top, let me tell you what my theory is. And it's not solely mine. I heard part of, like, the first part was on Sup with Laura and Carrie. And when they first said it at the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't know. That just seems like a little heavy-handed. But now I've also arrived to the same conclusion, and I think Aaron's in on the scheme. This is some sort of psychosexual, like, folie à trois, I guess, delusion of three, where these three people, like, Jesse wants to be a cuck, and Aaron loves cucking Jesse, which is why he wants to go on family vacations together. What? And Michelle is just soaking up all of this attention from both of these, like, seemingly, I mean, Jesse's awful, and Aaron is quite bizarre himself. And it just, yeah, this feels like some sort of sex game through and through. So we have dinner. Luke and Kristen are late because Luke is having like a breakdown right now. But for Luke, I feel bad that he's like really shutting down and freaking out over his grandma and proposing that he shouldn't be taking out on Kristen or anyone else. We then see Brittany in a new confessional look that we got last week. Maybe it was the week before, that I'm quite loving. It's very Love Shack fancy vibes, and I love that she's paying a little bit of homage to Sherry's newly retired frosted lip. Bring it back, Cher. We love it. You don't even know. You have so many fans of the frosted lip. It's great. Then Nia and Kristen start talking about their conversation, or Nia's conversation with Janet and Jason. And Kristen starts stirring up some shit, because why wouldn't she? And we see, we flash over to Janet and Jason, and Janet's looking like really frump again. Can we get it like a little bit together, Janet? Jason asks Aaron how it's been with Jesse, and Aaron and Michelle say that Jesse has gotten a lot worse, that he's been behaving like pretty erratically and like incredibly childishly, which we can all see. And it hasn't been fun for either of them to deal with. And then we see Jesse ask Aaron to stay back at the end of dinner. Aaron, the crux of the issue for Jesse is that Aaron posted a picture with Isabella on Father's Day, which I could see how that would really freaking sting Jesse. But at the end of the day, when you're co-parenting, I don't think you get a say in who or how your co-parent allows other adults to interact with your child. So it was shitty, but they also, like, Aaron and Michelle really have no obligation to you, Jesse. Their obligation is to Isabella. Jesse asks if they ever crossed a line before he and Michelle separated, and Aaron says no, but I think they absolutely did, at least emotionally. Like, I don't know, it just, they did, come on, they did. We then see, last thing I wanted to say there is that Michelle true Reformation girly. And then see a pool day with Nia and Daniel. And Nia and Daniel getting ready, I should say. And then Nia gets sprayed tan all over their bed, which is absolutely disgusting. Like, we're in our late 30s, early 40s, you guys. Can we not behave like civilized people at all? But I've written here that Daniel is what I would call a spirited child. And now that I'm remembering, he was screaming at the top of his lungs while Nia is trying to like calm him down and speak softly. And I was a nanny all through college, and you know, when I talked about the bad kids, that's how I would say, oh, they're so spirited. They really love to run around. We then get a flashback of the night before and Luke like running around in his underwear all over the hotel, which was kind of funny. Janet asks about Kristen and Michelle explains why she's upset, which I didn't really understand how Janet didn't understand that this was not a fight that involved you and now you're involving yourself for whatever reason. Erin asks, I guess, Janet how everything got so, we're at the pool. I'm like trying to remember what the fuck is happening. Too many shows, you guys. Too much good with watching right now. So Erin asks, like, how it got so heated. How did, Janet and Kristen get here? And Janet explains that, like, Kristen seems to go after other couples to deflect from, her friends, which is absolutely 100% true. But if you know she does that, why can't you just rise above it, Janet? That's what I would say. Aaron, to me, is an interesting guy because he seems nice, but he's, like, very clearly love-bombing Michelle. Like, the way he talks to her kind of grosses me out. Like, last week when we ended the episode, he was like, I just want to eat good food and drink good alcohol and love on you, or whatever the fuck he said. It was really, I don't like it. I don't like that he dresses like Jesse. I don't like that he does his hair like Jesse. I don't like that he wants to take family vacations with Jesse. Like, something is up here. We then get a little Benji and Zach, and Benji is just the cutie patootiest little pocket guy. I really like Benji, even though they don't give him a lot of room to, like, speak or show himself to the camera. He's really, regulated to background character. Zach is worried about Kristen seeing Janet after the engagement, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And it does get resolved. And then Kristen pops over for a little chat. And then Zach calls Luke dramatic, and Kristen stands up for him, which I love. Like, that's how you should be with your partner. Like, don't let people talk shit about them or whatever. Luke comes in, then we find out that Kristen is the kind of white person who thinks going into the ocean is the same as taking a shower, which is so foul and disgusting, and I don't like it. Like, the ocean is incredibly dirty. You should not think of it like a shower. It is a place that you should be showered from after you leave it. I then see a little Jax with Cruz action, and I have limited comments on this guy, or on this scene, just because I think Jax is trying to show us that I don't have anything nice to say about it, so I'm just not going to say anything at all. We then see the girls and gays go to a hula, and then a little matcha meetup with shaved ice for the gentlemen, and I just really fucking hate that they do this gender, like, these gay men can't join us for shaved ice. Like, are you kidding me? Britt tells us that her hula dance would be plucking Jax's nuts, which I didn't really know what that meant, but okay, Brittany, whatever you say. And then we see Jesse, Jason, and Aaron sit down, and they're gonna, take Scott's advice and clear some lists. Jesse confronts Aaron yet again, and Aaron says to him, speaking of shaved ice, when is the last time you played hockey? And then Jesse tells us that the last time he played hockey, he got a really bad concussion. He had already broken up with Michelle, but she was still his emergency contact. So he called her, she came to pick him up, and that's how they ended up married with Isabella. And the producer points out that he was only with Michelle because he had a concussion. Oh, okay, so before we get into the shaved ice to hockey thing, Jesse has like a really oversized reaction to Aaron even asking the question, which I know everyone has said it, but Jesse is like incredibly scary and like in very pathological, and I personally just would want nothing to do with that man. Jesse says that he and Michelle are technically still together, and Aaron rightfully points out, did that make you feel good? Which, yeah, Jesse, you're slinging a lot of low blows to try and prop yourself up. And then Jesse says he'll be gracious and stop calling Michelle a lying, cheating whore. And that Aaron has to respect him, and if I were Aaron, I would have, I think that would have been it for the conversation for me, personally, but okay. Finally, we see Jax call Jesse. Jesse does some snorkeling shenanigans, and Jesse calls Aaron a fucking loser, which I really hated too. I don't know. I don't like any of this. I don't like this. I don't like their psychosexual game. I don't consent, and I don't want to be a part of it anymore. We then see the beautiful proposal, which the stingrays were fucking, and the dolphins were maybe leaping somewhere. It was quite lovely. It's just very clear that Luke adores Kristen, and she loves him to the moon right back, and I think that proposal is probably very special for both of them. We watch Zach and Benji move stuff around, and as they are giving up the presidential suite for newly engaged Kristen and Luke, and then they tell Jesse about the proposal. And Jesse then goes into full obnoxious coastal elite mode and tries to order 1,000 hibiscus petals and 1,000 rose petals from the front desk, which, Jesse, my man, I know it's a Hyatt in Hawaii, but I think there are limits to most people's abilities, and that is probably a limited one. Melissa and Jasmine then kiki on the bed, and Jasmine tells Melissa how she figured out the engagement, and then Melissa jokes and says it's a double engagement, and then as I was watching them, all I could think was, wow, these two people who are trying to tell us that they're in love and have been together for a long time have zero chemistry with each other. They seem like best friends, which I think you should be when you're a couple, but I don't know if they're actually doing anything sexual with each other. And Melissa has gym teacher energy, which I love. Benji and Zach get ready for the party, and then the rest of the gang kind of gets themselves ready. And then my new favorite background player arrives. Her name is Lucy, and Zach tries to get her to take shots, and she says only with a little ice cube in it, which, fair, Luce, fair. Zach calls Britt to tell her about the engagement, and Brittany, of course, immediately makes it all about herself because, lest we forget, Brittany also pulled a Janet to get on this show and stopped Jax, who ended up being an absolute monster, and that is far from her fault. Yeah, Brittany is also into just being the star of the show. And Jason is eavesdropping on the conversation, and then Jason runs back and tells his wife everything. And Janet calls Zach, and then says that she doesn't want to go to the dinner, and Zach says it might be weird if you wear the shirts that we made, but you're more than welcome to come to the dinner because it's like pretty open air and you're not going to be like, it won't be an issue. Janet then says no, she would prefer not to come, and then she starts complaining about being disinvited, which she was not. She took herself out of the equation. Those are two completely different things. We see another ill-fitting outfit on Janet, though I do like a crocheting moment, especially one that's in color. So I didn't mind it, I just wanted it to have a better fit. Janet, fit and style are the two most important things in fashion, and I can't believe you can't do either. My big thing with Jason is I've been trying to figure him out all season. I think he's been trying to help his wife look better on television, which, you know, quite a feat, but like good on you for trying to do that with her, because she's just not coming off great on television. But even he seemed a bit fed up with her antics at this point, especially when she was like complaining about being disinvited. We see the little surprise. It was really sweet. And then Jessie gives us advice on how to deal with panic attacks, which I will not be taking. No offense, Jessie. And Britt again makes this whole thing about her and how she wasn't invited to help or anything. And I really didn't like Michelle's outfit. And then Jessie says he just loves love, which I believe him. I think he does just love love. I don't know if he knows how to action love, but I think he loves love for sure. And that was the Valley. Like, really great episode. Excited to see where we go the rest of the season. I love that we're getting a little bit of a villain turn on Britt. She's always, you know, shown as the Kentucky muffin, so I'm happy to get something else. All right, next time we have 5 whole pages on, because this truly is the best show on television. Like, hands down, I've never seen anything like it. It is incredible. These people are just perfect little monsters. I can't not be excited. So we immediately jump back into the fight with Baby Wig and Ava. And Ava said she's surprised that BW moved to NYC to start a fashion brand. And Gia, of course, comes to Ariana's rescue, because why wouldn't she? And Brooks keeps saying that he's so uncomfortable, and he and Georgia are giggling, which I do the exact same when I'm very uncomfortable. So it's nice to see some representation on camera. Ava says that when she sees someone with a fashion brand, she immediately knows their point of view, and she just does not know what Ariana's point of view is, which I think is a little unfair. Truly, so my friend TT, who I watch Next Gen and the Valley with, said she understood, and we both, you know, went to fashion school. She's a trend forecaster and creative director. I worked in product development, so adjacent to design, but both had to learn design. And she said she saw where Ava was coming from, especially since Ariana didn't know what Agora was. But I personally fall on the other side of, it's very clear that Ariana's fashion brand is streetwear, and while streetwear is certainly not traditional fashion or like what you would see Ava in for work, like she seems more of like a print model. It has a space and it brings in billions of dollars a year, and if Ariana wants to go after it, she absolutely should. Maybe take a course at FIT as well while you're up here, girl, but you absolutely should go after it for sure. Ava then says Georgia would be the more apropos fashion designer, and that is completely where Ava lost me. I'm sorry, Georgia fancies herself a Carrie, and she dresses not like a Carrie.
she is another one who is hit or miss for me, but it is like very egregious sometimes. Like that weird, what looked to be like 1990s Marc Jacobs top last week with the Robert Cavalli like tiger skirt was just absolutely unholy. I agree with Riley's take on Gia. Like, I don't understand why Gia is inserting herself, and happy that yet again Gia was an added spice that we don't have to hear from, because she is not why I'm watching this show whatsoever. Brooks then decides that it's time to sing happy birthday, and in the middle of the fight gets up, lights the candles and starts singing, and so then they all have to start singing in the middle of them fighting, and it was quite hilarious. And Ava says she's not okay and she needs drinks right now, so sorry here, Ava. We meet Danny, and we see George and Danny go to lunch, as well as Brooks and Meredith at La Pointe showroom. So I actually did like this outfit on Georgia. So here is a hit when we recently had this from her. Georgia wants Omar to take her to Disney World for her birthday, which Georgia is just. I like her. I think what probably makes me so uncomfortable with her is I was probably a lot like her when I was 25 and living in New York. And then Georgia tells us that Gen Z just doesn't want to work for anyone, which fair, no one wants to work for anyone. But here's a little tip and trick, Gen Z, that you may not know. You guys, like, creating your own internships and being go-getters is nothing new or novel. Like, people have been doing that for centuries. So that does not qualify you to be, director of advertising at 22 at all. It just doesn't. We then go over to Brooks and Meredith, and Brooks truly is an iconic king. I mean, the thing that I love to point out about him is he deferred NYU to be his own mother's friend of her first season of SLC. And I will say Meredith is her own icon. We get a flashback to one of her best moments, which was the Palm Springs, "You can leave." Georgia tells us how Danny's such a great worker, but is Georgia working? And we find out that she does, I guess, hustle sometimes, but I don't know how often that happens from her. That may be something that only Danny can bring out of her. I really loved this caviar pie idea, and I'm stealing it for my wedding reception next summer. We're having it in a place where there's a lot of seafood, and caviar will be quite abundant. Brooke announces to the showroom that Meredith fired him. The showroom coordinator I can't tell if she's ecstatic to be in this situation with Brooks and Meredith, or if she is get me the fuck out of here right now. I cannot tell. But either or, girl, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. Meredith tells us that she really wants Brooks to call her mama, which I don't love that either. They're all just so much. We got a carousel of casts. Ariana's posting. I don't like how messy their place is at all. It's kind of gross. Ava tells us about how she always had to work and pay her own way, which is okay. I see a little clip of Becky with her as well, which I thought she looks exactly like her mom. It's wild. And then we see Georgia doing a little bit of work. So she does, I guess, sometimes work. And then we get Dylan and Charlie waking up. And Dylan tells us that he goes out too much now. And I get it. He says he wasn't back until 6 a.m. I was not the biggest goer-outer in my 20s, nor am I the biggest goer-outer now. I turn into a pumpkin at midnight, as I tell everyone. I want to get the fuck out and into my bed in pajamas as early as possible. But I will say, there is nothing like being out. You get to the bar at midnight, and then all of a sudden you look out the window, and it's daytime, and it's now 7 a.m., and you've been out just all night. It's very
person should experience at least once. We also then start the trail of Charlie asking for the speaker. So this was ask number 1. We'll be counting them throughout the episode. So Riley then goes to visit Baby Wig and Mop Head at their new place, and Riley and Ariana are my 2 faves on the show. I like how they stand up for each other. I like their friendship. I think it's super sweet. And, again, there's enough pie in the sky for everyone. If Ariana wants to be a fashion designer, she is more than welcome to be it. As Tom Ford said, the people buying Tom Ford off Canal Street wouldn't have bought it from Tom Ford the store anyway. Only one of their oven knobs works, which is very NYC, and I'm actually dealing with the exact same problem in my Airbnb right now. So then we see Charlie and Ava do business, and the whole business part of it all was very chaotic to me, and I could not follow, even watching it twice, could not follow exactly what they were doing. Dane wants to turn Slutty Vegan, which is a vegan restaurant, into a club. Is it a club by Slutty Vegan that he owns? Or I'm very confused about what exactly his plans are. Be nice, I need to say to myself, because I was about to say something that was not nice. I'm just gonna say it anyway. He gives me coked out energy, Dane. Gives me true, cokehead energy. Charlie then tells us that he has a master's in hospitality. Charlie, do you know how much fucking money you could be making and how you could literally be traveling the world right now, and you're fucking around in your apartment smoking weed all day? You must be nuts. You must be nuts. We get speaker mask number 2, and then Ava asks Charlie what's going on with Georgia, and Charlie tells us that she's homeless and eats his scraps, which I felt a lot of empathy for him last week in seeing our little Oedipal lunch and Hamptons visit with Anwar, and that empathy has gone fully out the window at this point. Then we see Georgia and Omar. I don't like Georgia's dress here. It was not cute. And Omar is finally not in that ill-fitting suit and red polka dot tie. We got a new look from Omar, and I like to see it. I was just about to say, I know no one owned clothes back in the day. Everyone just wore the same dress over and over, but fast fashion is upon us, and I think Omar needs to put at least some effort into being on television with this woman who we find out he loves. No, first Georgia tells us that the people that own the space where Meredith's event was supposed to be have been evicted, which, that's New York for you. And so now she and Danny had to hustle to get another space, but she fixed it, and Omar is proud, which he should be. That's a big deal. And then Omar tells Georgia that he loves her, but then Georgia has a very fair question, which is, you told another woman that you loved her within a day. Omar says they'll work on it, and he'll keep proving to her that he means what he says, that he does love her. And despite me thinking that Omar is probably also part of that Midtown crypto torture ring that Charlie was caught up in, I do like him for Georgia. I think they're really nice. But, just watch him, Georgia. Who knows? We then go to the caviar party. And Seth and Meredith are on some sort of grooming adventure. I really don't know how else to describe it. They're absolute bananas in this scene. And I don't want them to be day players. This is a show about young people, and the fact that Brooks and Chloe, who is nowhere to be found, their parents keep popping up and are more prevalent than Chloe is. It's too much. We need a